What are the headlines
Sure.
here?
So the College Board is the sort of primary source of data on what colleges are costing, what students are spending, how much debt they have, and it comes out every year right around this time. So probably the positive news is that the rate of tuition increases is slowing. The sort of sticker price that people see in headlines and on applications is slowed to about 2.9%. Well, overall, roughly between 3 and 4%. Public four-year colleges, which is probably where the biggest chunk of students go, there were it was about a 2.9% increase, which is the lowest in 30 years, and so that's the good news, and the other types of colleges were in the 3% or 4% range, and that's
and we're
slowed
showing
down.
that chart from the College
So,
Board so people can see that chart, also showing the average prices of tuition and fees for a public four-year in-state. It's about $9,000. Public four-year out-of-state, $22,000, and then private nonprofit four-year about $30,000.
So those are roughly increased 3%, and that's slowed down. It's still more than inflation, which is a little bit of bad news on that. But so it's still growing faster than inflation, which was in the roughly high 1 to 2% range. So that's again the most positive news in here. The flip side, or the sort of moderating influence there, is that what students actually pay, which is what most of us are concerned about, the net price, the net tuition, actually rose more than that, and rose for the first time in quite a while. And that's because the amount of financial aid that particularly the federal government, because that's how you come up with the net price. That's what students actually pay. You subtract out what kinds of support.
These are the grants, the loans.
Exactly. And so the grant aid from the federal government, which had been really sharply increasing in the late 2000s, actually started dropping the last couple of years. And so when you combine those factors, what the average student paid at a public four-year increased by about 2%. And what a student actually paid at a four-year private institution rose by about 4%. So that's and obviously, ultimately, that's what really matters, is what the sticker price is what gets all the headlines. The net price is actually what's most important.
College is getting increasingly expensive. Tuition at U.S. universities has risen faster than inflation in every year since 1981. So why is the price of college rising so quickly? It's basic supply and demand. We're seeing enormous increases in the demand for higher education, and universities can respond in two ways: increasing the supply by accepting more students, or increasing the tuition. Since most colleges can't keep up by increasing enrollment, tuitions must rise. To understand what's happening, we need to examine what's been driving that demand. There are two main factors. First of all, the payoff from a college degree has been growing over time. In 1980, college graduates earned 50% more than high school graduates. In 2008, they earned over 90% more. In addition, a college degree increases your chances of finding a job, even in a sluggish economy. In the May 2012 employment report, the unemployment rate for high school graduates rose to 8.1%, while the unemployment rate for college graduates fell to 3.9%. So it should be no surprise then that young people today are pursuing higher education in larger numbers than ever before.
Personally, I know a lot of students who went to get their bachelor's in a private school, and now they came out of 80,000, 90,000, 100,000 loans on their head, which they have to pay, and they don't have a job. How are they going to pay? They're working for $9 an hour and 40 hours. They barely can support themselves rather than paying all that money. And when you graduate, your even interest rate keeps going up, and their monies keep piling up, and it's stressful, it's depressing, and it shouldn't be that way.
It just basically makes you plan your future and how you're going to pay it off, what kind of routes you're going to take to pay off. It's just a scary feeling.
If you have money, you do get to go to better school, but we should look at poor people and their opportunities for education. It should be the job of the state, of the government, to provide education to everyone, irrespective of the money and irrespective of where they're from or who they are.
I don't think it's going to put students off, because if students are serious about their education, they'll go to college, whether it's a community or whether it's a senior college. There are other opportunities, either loans, either scholarships. If your grades are good, you'll get scholarships. Government's here to help you some way or the other. If not, you get financial aid.
They don't just have to react at one time. They just have to keep struggling and keep fighting against it, because in the long run, it is very hard to pay the tuition.
I come from a fairly wealthy family, so I mean I'm in a position where I'm able to afford that. I have a suite mate who has to get help from relatives, family, friends, who's gotten financial aid. So it really depends on your economic situation.
Yeah, it depends on your economic situation. As a non-American student, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. So if you manage to pay it off, you get a sense of satisfaction, I guess. But if you don't, then it's a little bit of a problem, because you get to drag this on for the rest of your life. So.
Most Americans are growing up thinking that they're going to pursue a college degree. They're going to have to. That's something that you have to get in order to be successful. So it's assumed that that's something you're going to do. That you're going to have those burdens, but you're going to pay them off. It's kind of just a stepping stone in American culture. Great schools cost more than schools that are not as well known or not as reputable.
Yeah.
So as a general rule of thumb, for the most part, yes, the more you pay, the better your education is. I mean, the prices here have been rising as well, so I think it's a global thing, not just in England.
Yeah, but it's kind of like keeping people that can't get access to higher education down.
I'm nice right now.